Start now! In today's video, I'm going to outline 5 ways to boost your credit score. A higher credit score will help you get more credit card offers or be accepted by more credit cards you're applying for, and will also reduce your interest rates. Just remember, when you do finally have that higher limit, don't max it out and put yourself exactly where you are today. First, let's talk about a credit score and why it's so important. Your credit score is a 3-digit number that lenders use to determine your credit worthiness.
We're not worthy!
It tells lenders how likely you are to pay back a loan or pay off a credit card. A higher credit score can lead to lower interest rates and better credit card offers, while a lower credit score can make it hard to get approved and will also give you higher interest rates. Also, if you're on the hunt for a new apartment or home, it's very possible that your potential landlord will be looking at your entire credit report, not just your rental history. This depends on a few things. It could depend on the state that you live in. Also just depends on the apartment building itself. This is actually what finally prompted me to start taking my credit seriously. So for a while I was living in an income restricted home and my credit was not a factor in my eligibility to live there. And a few years ago, I met somebody special, and when we decided to start looking for a place together, this is when my low credit score really started to make things difficult for me. However, in the last 2 years, I've been able to raise my score over 200 points. Here's how I did it. So, debt consolidation. My first piece of advice is to consolidate your debt. That way it's more manageable to pay off. So I owed a lot of various entities, various amounts of money, and I knew that it was finally time to start taking care of this if I wanted to improve my credit score. So my original plan was to wait the magic 7 years it takes or whatever for stuff to fall off of your credit history. But then I just kind of realized that this wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, all of this stuff existed on my credit report for a reason. I owed money and there was no way around that. The right thing to do is to actually take care of your debt and not wait for it to disappear. If you don't have like basic ethics and values, then you might not get too far in life. So this is a good time to start kind of reevaluating what your perspective is on things if you want things to change for yourself. So I Googled debt consolidation companies, and the first company that popped up was something called Optimal Debt Solutions. And that's who I called, and that's who has been handling my debt consolidation for the last year and a half. Basically, they just worked with me to create a game plan to take care of my debt for me. This process might look a little bit different from company to company. Like I said, I just went with the first company that I found and it's worked out for me. But what you do need to know is that I haven't had to pay for any of their services. At least I didn't have to pay more than what I already owed. So the way that it works out is they reach out to the companies that I owe money to. They work with those companies to find a settlement amount, and they charge a little bit of a difference. My total debt was somewhere around $5,000, and with their service fees, it only ended up being just over $4,000. I'm still paying this off. I'm only about a year and a half, almost 2 years into this. I would say that this has increased my score about 50 points. I would think that my score will go up at least another 25 points, 30 points when it's all said and done. And I think that's pretty great. Number 2, I opened a secured credit card. One of the biggest hits on my credit report is how many times I've applied for a credit card. It might be counterintuitive, like if you're trying to build credit history, you might think that you need to keep applying for cards to find one that's going to accept you. That way you can start being responsible and start making payments. Yeah, stop applying for credit cards, apply for a secured card. So a secure card is kind of like a prepaid credit gift card kind of thing, but the money that you funded onto the credit card is held sort of as collateral by the issuing bank. If you don't make your payments on that card, then the bank is protected because you've already put away the full value of the credit that you have on that card. So I saved up $200, which was a lot for me at the time, but this gave me a $200 line of credit that I used to buy things that I was already buying, like groceries or gas or whatever. Now, I wasn't using the card to buy extra things or to live beyond my means. That's not what this card was for. It's really important to remember that a secured credit card, at least in this context, is a tool to help you on your credit journey. It's not just an excuse to be spending more money. So you do still have to be responsible and be smart with your spending. Now, you might mess up. I mess up. I mean, no one's perfect. Pay it off, hide that card in a drawer if you need to while you're paying it off, but pay it off and get back on track. Don't use a mistake as an excuse to keep making more mistakes. The goal with having a secured credit card is developing positive credit history to show future lenders that you are trustworthy and reliable. Now, this also ties into tip number 3. Pay your bills in full as often as possible. So when I first got that $200 secured credit card, I was not aware that I was supposed to keep the balance on that card below 25 to 30%. This is what is called a credit card utilization. The idea here is to show lenders that even though you have access to all this money, all of this credit, that you don't necessarily need it, that it's there if you do end up needing it for something. For some reason, that translated in my head as also using it in full and then paying it off in full. I know it doesn't make sense. It's obvious to not max out your credit cards, but for some reason, that's just how my mind was thinking of this. You're actually only able to make, I think, up to 4 payments per credit card per month due to ACH limitations or something like that. So it's not necessary to make a weekly payment, but if you do get paid every other week and can pay off whatever balance you've accrued over the last couple weeks, do it. That's going to help you pay off your bills faster. The next piece of advice that I have is to dispute errors on your report. Now, if you're anything like me, then everything on your credit report is probably there for a reason. You owe companies money and it's factual and it's not a mistake. Go! I can recall many a time where I've just randomly scrolled through my my credit report looking for inaccuracies, like crossing my fingers, hoping there was something there that I could dispute. But alas, no, all of that money is money that I actually owe. So I was randomly going through my credit card notifications, as you should really get in the habit of doing. And I noticed that something that I had paid off was actually still showing on my credit report. I was oddly so excited about this. So I filed the dispute, uploaded my receipts, to show that I had actually paid off what I was saying that I had paid off. And in 3 days, the dispute had been resolved. It is now accurately reflecting as paid off and closed. And then something happened. So right after my dispute was resolved, I discovered that my credit score had dropped. I had raised it from 495 to 710, and now I was looking at 665. I was heartbroken. But it actually had nothing to do with the item that I had raised the dispute about. I discovered this on Christmas Day. I gave the number a call the very next day. The balance was $995. Ugh. So old me would have been like, okay, let's take care of this in $25 monthly payments. Sort of sounds reasonable, right? No. But that would actually take 39.8 months at $25 a month. But something was different this time. Life has taught me a couple things. One of them is it never hurts to ask questions. And 2, pay off the damn bills. So I asked the guy on the phone what he would do if I offered him $500. Let me rephrase that. I asked the collector if I would be able to settle the debt for $500. He put me on hold to talk to his manager, and he said yes. So just by taking this initiative, taking control of the situation, I saved 50% from $995 to $500. So then I thought I could pay the $500 right now if I wanted to, but I don't. So I asked the guy if I can settle this for $400 in one payment today. He put me on hold, talked to his manager again, and said yes. Then I asked him if he could do $399. I don't think he really understood my humor.
You caught me being in my garden gardening for today.
So I said just kidding and took care of it. All right, so the time has come. Tip number 5. I should have started the other way around, 5, 4. Let's call this tip number 1. The number 1 way to raise your credit score in 2023 is to start now. I know you might not think of that as a tip, and you've probably heard it a million times before, but you know what? I also heard it a million times before, and I never started now until one day it finally clicked. One day I said it myself. I'm gonna start today. Today is when I take control of my finances. I remember that day. I was sitting in a hotel in San Diego with my partner. We were going to the San Diego Zoo for my birthday. And out of nowhere, I just decided I'm doing this right now and I'm not going to make any excuse why I won't do this. The reason I started with the debt consolidation was because I had so many items on my report that were in collections. I just needed to get that out of the way. I had to start being responsible. I had to make that mental shift. I had to be an adult. So something that would continually get in the way and would keep delaying when I would start making these changes was being overwhelmed and also not really knowing where to start. So if you're in a similar situation, I want to help you and make this really easy. So I've included 2 links in the description below. One is to the Optimal Debt Solutions website. Do your research, see if it's the right solution for you if you're looking to consolidate your debt. Maybe there are far better companies out there. I have no idea, but they have worked out incredibly well for me. I'm also including a link to apply for a Capital One secured card. There are a lot of secured card options out there. So again, do your research, find out what's good for you. I'm not being sponsored by Capital One or Optimal Debt Solutions. I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for you if not knowing where to start and feeling overwhelmed is a hurdle for you as well. Please know I am not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer or tax attorney but hopefully after watching this video, you think of me as a friend, and friends help friends. The best way that you can help me is by giving this video a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. This will tell the YouTube algorithms and things that other people might like this video as well. By following these 5 tips to improve your credit score, you will be just a little bit closer to achieving the financial freedom that you've always dreamed of. I don't think that money is the most important thing, but financial freedom will allow you to achieve your goals. Whether it's getting approved for a new apartment or buying a house or even just finally having an emergency fund. It's important to remember that improving your credit score takes time, patience, and consistency. So don't get frustrated if you don't see immediate changes. Keep working on paying your bills on time, managing your credit utilization, and using your credit responsibly, and you will see your credit improve over time. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. The next thing that I did was I opened a secured credit card, but I needed to... I knew that I needed just Visa will hold on to, that's not how it works.